Hey everyone, welcome. My name is Angela. Today we're practicing past tense and we're going to also do it with prepositions. So get ready, we're going to have a fun class. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and share this video with others. Hello, welcome. What's your name? My name is Angela. How are you today? I am doing wonderfully. I'm so happy to meet you and have you here today. This month, we've been practicing past tense. I was, you were, she was, he was, it was, we were, and they were. If you remember, we were practicing possessive as well. My, her, his, ours, and theirs. In our class 9 of our January challenge, we learned some clothing as well. If you haven't had a chance to watch it, please go ahead, do that first, and then you can always come back to this video. Let's review the clothes that we learned. We learned shoes. Shoes is plural. Remember, shoes, because there's two. Shirt, hat, blouse, pants. Yeah, shoes, shirt, hat, blouse, and pants. So we're going to put this with whose. I want to know whose this is. I'm going to put it with my past tense, okay? So let's see how we can do this. Here I have, do you remember what this is? A shirt. So I'm going to say whose shirt? Am I going to ask is? No, because I want to ask before. So I'm going to say whose shirt was that? Whose shirt was that? Whose shirt was that? Whose shirt was that? And we're going to say whose hat was that? Okay, all past tense. Whose hat was that? Whose hat was that? Whose hat was that? Whose shirt was that? Whose shirt was that? Whose shirt was that? And to answer that, we're going to say that was my hat. Okay, in this case, that was my hat. That was my hat. That was my hat. How about this one? What's this one? Blouse. You remember? Whose blouse was that? Whose blouse was that? Whose blouse was that? Whose blouse was that? And we're going to answer that blouse, or that was. We could also say that blouse was, but that was my blouse. That was my blouse. That was my blouse. That was my blouse. Yeah, that was my blouse. Whose blouse was that? That was my blouse. Excellent. Whose shoes? So shoes are plural because we have 2 feet, 2 shoes. So we're going to say whose shoes was that? No, right? We're going to say were because it's plural. So whose shoes were those? 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 And then we're going to answer those with the verb were my shoes. Those were my shoes. Those were my shoes. Whose shoes were those? Those were my shoes. Whose shoes were those? Those were my shoes. Those were my shoes. Excellent. How about pants? Remember, pants is plural because there's 2 legs. So not one pant, pants. Okay, so whose pants? Are we going to use was? We're going to use were because it's plural. So whose pants were those? Whose pants were those? Whose pants were those? Whose pants were those? Those, my verb, are? No, because it's past. Everything we're practicing, past tense. Those were my pants. Those were my pants. Those were my pants. Whose pants were those? Those were my pants. Excellent. How about if they're not mine? They're not mine. So I'm still going to ask the same question. So whose shoes was? No, whose shoes were those? Same question. Whose shoes were those? Because I don't know. Whose shoes are those? Whose shoes are those? But to answer, we're going to say those were her shoes. Not my shoes. They were her shoes. Yeah? So whose shoes were those? Whose shoes were those? Whose shoes were those? Those were her shoes. Those were her shoes. Those were her shoes. Excellent. Those were her shoes. It starts to go together. How about this one? Whose hat was that? Whose hat was that? Whose hat was that? Whose hat was that? And we're going to respond. That was my hat? No, that was her hat. That was her hat. That was her hat. That was her hat. Whose hat was that? That was her hat. That was her hat. That was her hat. Yeah, practice, practice. That will help you with your fluency. How about these ones? Whose pants was? No. Whose pants were those? Whose pants were those? Whose pants were those? Those were her pants? Those were my pants? Whose pants were those? Yeah, those were his pants. 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 Yeah, whose pants were those? Those were his pants. Excellent. How about this one? What's this? Shirt. Whose shirt were? No, because it's singular. So whose shirt was that? Whose shirt was that? Whose shirt was that? Whose shirt was that? And we're going to answer that was my shirt? Her shirt? No, that was his shirt. Whose shirt was that? That was his shirt. Whose shirt was that? Make sure your voice changes in the question. Whose shirt was that? No. Whose shirt was that? Because question, it goes up at the end. Whose shirt was that? You don't have to go that high, but you get what I'm saying. That was his shirt. That was his shirt. Whose shirt was that? That was his shirt. That was his shirt. Excellent. How about this one? What's that called? Shirt? No, blouse. So whose blouse was that? Whose blouse was that? Whose blouse was that? How are we going to answer? My blouse? Her blouse? His blouse? Yeah, we're going to say that was their blouse. A few people own the blouse. I don't know. But to practice, that was their blouse. 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 Excellent. How about this one? Whose pants were those? Remember, pants is plural. Know whose pants was that or whose pants was those. Yeah, were those. Whose pants were those? Whose pants were those? Whose pants were those? Those were their pants. 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 Excellent. Very good. Excellent. Good job. So we've been practicing shoes, shirt, hat, blouse, and pants. Now we're going to include some prepositions. So where are they? Okay, let's practice some places in the house. We learned these again on video 9. So if you want to go back and have a look, but we will review them now. So we have table, table, floor, floor, bed, bed, chair, chair, door, door. Okay? Table, floor, bed, chair, and door. So we're going to practice whose pants were those, but we're going to add. Now we have a table there. So we're going to say whose pants were those on, because they're on the table. So adding that preposition on. Okay, we're going to practice a couple. Whose pants were those on the table. Maybe there were pants on the floor, in the kitchen, there's pants everywhere. But we're going to ask about the ones on the table. Whose pants were those on the table? Whose pants were those on the table? Whose pants were those on the table? And we can answer the same way. So those were their pants, and then add that preposition and that expression on the table. Those were their pants on the table. Those were their pants on the table. Those were their pants on the table. Okay, all past tense. We're still practicing past tense. We just want to make sure our verbs in past tense. Those were their pants on the table. How about this one? Whose, what's this? Shirt was that? Where was it? On the floor. Yeah, so whose shirt was that on the floor? Whose shirt was that on the floor? Whose shirt was that on the floor? And we're going to say that verb was there. No, that was his shirt on the floor. 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 Very good. How about these? Whose? I got two. Shoes, verb, plural verb, past tense verb, were those at the door. So they're not on the door. The door is here. They're at the door. So whose shoes were those at the door? Whose shoes were those at the door? I don't know. Whose shoes were those at the door? Whose shoes were those? And we're going to say those were her shoes. And what do we add at the end? You got it? At the door. Yeah, so those were her shoes at the door. Those were her shoes at the door. Whose shoes were those at the door? Those were her shoes at the door. Whose shoes were those at the door? Those were her shoes at the door. Excellent. Very good. How about this one? We have a hat. So whose hat were? No, because hat's singular. Is? No, because we're practicing past tense. So whose hat was that? Where is it? On the bed. Yeah, so whose hat was that? On the bed. Whose hat was that? On the bed. Whose hat was that? On the bed. Whose hat was that? That was my hat on the bed. That was my hat on the bed. Whose hat was that on the bed? That was my hat on the bed. Whose hat was that on the bed? That was my hat on the bed. How about this one? So we have a chair. Where is the blouse? Under. We put it under in this picture. So we're going to ask whose blouse is? No, because we're practicing past tense. I keep checking. Make sure we're practicing past tense. Whose blouse was that? On the chair? No, under the chair. Yeah, so whose blouse was that? Under the chair. Whose blouse was that? Under the chair. Whose blouse was that? My blouse? His blouse? Her blouse, right? So that verb was her blouse under the chair. Whose blouse was that? Under the chair. That was her blouse under the chair. That was her blouse under the chair. Whose blouse was that under the chair? That was her blouse under the chair. Excellent. How about this one? Whose pants was? No, it's plural, right? Pants are two. Pants are plural, two legs. So whose pants were those? Where are they? On or under? They are under. So whose pants were those? Under the table. Whose pants were those under the table? Whose pants were those under the table? And we're going to say those were my pants? No, their pants. And then under the table. So whose pants were those under the table? Those were their pants under the table. I was going to say my pants. Those were their pants under the table. Those were their pants under the table. Those were their pants under the table. Excellent. So today we've learned some different prepositions. So the preposition indicates the relationship. Where is something in relation to something else? Yeah, so is it under the table? Is it at the table? Usually we say at the door, or is it on the table? Okay, so we've been practicing under, on, at. Things can be on, under, on, and at. Things can be on the floor. Things can be at the door, on the chair, under the chair, or at the chair as well. Look at the chair. Yeah, it's at the chair. Very good. We've learned some clothing, shoes, shirt, hat, blouse, and pants. Again, if you want to review these, have a look at our other class. You can review that anytime it's available to you. And we learned some places in our house. So table, floor, bed, chair, and door. And we've been practicing. So whose, I want to know who it belongs to, whose, with our past tense, and then we're adding our prepositions in there, okay? So whose pants were those on the table? Ask in your house. Those were their pants. Those were his pants. Those were my mom's pants. We can even add that there. Whose shirt was on the floor? Yeah, that was my shirt. That was my brother's shirt. That was his shirt. Okay, so practice. Have a look at these questions. Answer them. Whose hat, whose shoes, whose shirt, whose blouse. Yeah, and practice those in a nice loud voice. Practice those sentences. You did awesome today. Good job, everyone.
Hello, my English groupies, and thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please hit the like button below. If you want to see more videos, hit the subscribe button. And if you have something to say, please leave a comment. I am Angela, and I want to thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you in my next class.